Welcome back to Behind the Wire on Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Robert Burwell. I'm also the president of the Washington 3%. It's been a while. I come to you today with a heavy heart. By the time you see this video, the majority of you will know that today, political commentator and debater Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a coward who sniped him from distance at Utah Valley University during one of his events he had down there. The reason I say this was a cowardly act is because he shot him from a distance, no warning, no provocation. He ambushed him. That is the act of a coward. Period. You know, if you had any intestinal fortitude at all and really believed in his cause, you would have looked him in the face when he did it. But no, this was a coward. Coward who set up on a building on the other side of the area Charlie was at and shot him at distance. Coward. Charlie Kirk leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. His youngest child was born not too long ago and will sadly grow up never remembering their father. And that's just terrible. I personally watched a video of when he got shot, and when I saw it, you know, he got hit right here, right there, right in the jugular. And I saw the blood spray out. I knew he wasn't going to make it. You get hit like that, you've only got, you know, maybe a minute before you bleed out, and there's nothing they can do. Unfortunately, the sniper, who was probably aiming for his chest, wasn't that great of a shot, and just got horrifically lucky with where he hit him. It's one of the worst places you can hit somebody. And very tragic. Sad thing. So I am going to comment on this a little bit. And you know, I've been away for a while. When we started this channel, it was mainly to talk to you about things going on in Washington, to inform you of what's going on with the legislative process, you know, laws are being passed, policies that are being proposed, things like that, to keep you informed so you can be an informed voter in Washington State. Try to stay away from the national issues. There's a billion channels doing that, and, you know, for us, we mainly want to concentrate on Washington State. And I will talk about Washington State aspect to this that happened today in a little bit, but yeah, mainly we concentrate on Washington, and we have not been doing videos, at least I have not, because it's summertime, there's nothing really happening legislatively or with the new laws and things that are going on, so there's not a lot to talk about. And you know, I've been really busy. Summers are short, and I live way up above the snow line in Washington, so I only have, you know, so many months to get things done outside that need to get done, and My father had his 90th birthday here a few weeks ago, and spent a lot of time planning that and getting ready for that. And, you know, so I took a hiatus, and but I'm back here today because this is something that's so important. I just had to speak out about it. And if you watch this, great. If you don't, you know, it's on you. I don't care. I'm going to put my opinion out there. I'm going to tell you why this happened and what I think about it. So, that being said, I'm going to dig into this a little bit deeper. As I stated, this was a cowardly act. This individual, this sniveling little coward who did this heinous act today, he intended with this action to silence people on my side, to make us be fearful of speaking out. And, you know, that's the whole point of doing something like this. And this is backfiring on him historically. It's huge, the backfire that he achieved today. So we're not going to sit down. We're not going to shut up. He turned Charlie Kirk into a martyr today. Into a martyr. The exact opposite of what he wanted. I've already seen it today. People are standing up all over the place. All over the internet. People are less than happy with this. Let me just put it that way. I'm trying to control my language. This is my third take on this today because I'm a little emotional. Gotten a little heated, and I've said some things that would get this video blocked. So, you know, third time's a charm, I hope. Anyways, as I stated, this is not going to have the desired effect. This is backfiring on him. And it's just so sad this had to happen. You know, and one of the worst things I've seen today, one of the things that just makes me sick, just makes me sick that people who call themselves human beings are actually doing this today. You go on TikTok, and there are all kinds of, you know, far-left lunatics posting videos celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. They're dancing, they're fist pumping, they're like, yeah, we got him. Disgusting. If you're celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk today, you seriously need to be removed from the gene pool. Seriously. You're subhuman. You're a pathetic piece of garbage. And I would call you other things, but I don't want this video to get blocked, so I'll leave it at that. You know, for some reason, these people, in their demented minds, seem to think that Charlie Kirk deserved this. He deserved to be assassinated, you know. Now, I can see celebrating the death of truly heinous individuals, you know, people who've committed mass murders, you know, child molesters, things like that. Yeah, you know, celebrate those people being taken out of the gene pool. But what did Charlie Kirk do to warrant assassination, to warrant the celebration of his assassination? What did he do? Did he kill a bunch of people? Did he enslave somebody? Was he a, you know, mass child rapist? No. Charlie Kirk was a political commentator and a debater. He would take his little tent, go to college campuses and open forums, set his little tent up in his table, and sit there and debate people. Why did he do this? He did this because the vast majority of opinions shared on social media and network sources is all leftist. It's all leftists. So he would sit down and challenge people to debate him on the subjects of the day, no matter what they were. And, you know, he'd go to college campuses and stuff and challenge these kids to debate him. You know, if they're so certain in their opinions that they didn't come to by their own, that were given to them by their professors and the people around them, he would debate them and, you know, let them hear the other side. That was the whole point. Let them hear the other sides, encourage open debate, you know, like we used to have in this country, right? It used to be in America, we could have different political opinions. We could argue about it and then walk away as friends still. But that's not the case anymore. That is not the case anymore. At least not for one side, that's for sure. On the left, it's either believe as I believe, or you should die or be put in a concentration camp, or you're Nazi, you're Hitler, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, right? That's all you hear from the left. You know, when Charlie would debate these people, oftentimes he would make them look foolish. And he didn't make them look foolish out of spite. They made themselves look foolish because they would show up and debate him and have zero facts. All they had was rhetoric and opinions that were given to them. No facts. And he would debate them with facts, and he'd make them look ridiculous a lot of times. So, making somebody look ridiculous by destroying their ideas with the actual facts of what's really going on that deserves him to be put to death, assassinated. Really? Really? You're going to celebrate that because, oh, he debated people and sometimes made them look foolish, so he needs to die. Right? You're going to celebrate that. You pathetic piece of garbage. Unbelievable. This is what we've come to in America. But why did this happen? Why was Charlie Kirk assassinated today? It's pretty easy. It's pretty cut and dry why this happened. There's even a term for why this happened today. It is called stochastic terrorism. What is stochastic terrorism? Stochastic terrorism is defined as when a politician or prominent public figure, uses political rhetoric in such a way that it influences the emotions of those listening to them and can cause those people to act on those emotions in a violent manner. That's what happened today. Look around. Listen to what Democrats are saying all the time. Listen to what the media is saying all the time. They call anybody who's on the right a Nazi, racist, homophobe, constantly saying that we live in a dictatorship, that democracy is in jeopardy. We need to stand up. We need to do something about that. Okay? And they're not, this isn't just, you know, one-off statements. You watch the media, legacy media, you watch the news, you listen to your college professors, your teachers in your schools. They all say the same stuff. You're being bombarded with this 24/7. 24/7, being bombarded with thinking the other side is all these evil things. What happens when you do that? When you do that for years, like it's been going on? I mean, this started small in about, 2010 or so. But it's really ramped up the last few years especially. And what happens when people are bombarded by this 24/7? The least stable among us will act on it. They'll be so convinced that it's the end of the world that they need to do something, and they act out. And that's what happened today. That's what caused today to happen. That's what caused somebody to take a rifle and sit on a roof and assassinate somebody who was just there to debate. So convinced by the top politicians and the media and their little echo chambers that he's evil incarnate, that this person took it upon themselves to go up there and commit this heinous act today. He's not a hero. He's a coward. A coward who was lied to and brainwashed by total bombardment of rhetoric that caused him to act out in this manner. That's what happened today. Look around. Look what's been going on this last year. This last, 8 months. Look what's happened in this last 8 months. You want proof that this is happening, that this rhetoric is sparking all kinds of violence? Just pay attention to the last 8 months. What have we seen the last 8 months? We've seen, let's go with the last year and a half. Since the presidential election started ramping up. That's when this rhetoric really started flying. What's happened since then? Well, you had 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump. We had that. You've had the riots in Los Angeles and other parts of the country over immigration. We've had school shootings by deranged leftists. We've had down in Portland, we've had 180 days, 4 months or so of nightly riots in front of an ICE facility. Violence, burning, vandalism, all over the country. And now you've had a successful assassination. That's just the most recent stuff. This has been going on for years. Here in Washington State, this is where I get back to Washington State. Here in Washington State, we are at the epicenter of the violent left. We are. Washington, Portland. We're the epicenter of the violent left. Just look back over the years. All the violence, all the riots, all the burning, vandalism, attacks on people, the last few years here in Washington State. All committed by your favorite black pajama gang, Antifa, and Democratic Socialists, all those kind of people. Been going on. Yeah, you remember Chaz, you remember the Summer of Love, you remember that wonderful time in 2020. You remember all the riots, all the violence. That's, that's the norm for here in Washington. Every time something they don't like happens, they put on their little black pajamas, leave mommy's basement, and they go out there and create havoc. But why does it happen here? Why does it happen here so much more than the rest of the country? Any idea? Washington and Oregon are both states that have been controlled by Democrats for a long time. Not just regular Democrats. We are the socialist epicenter of the United States. It used to be California, but then they all moved out of California because their stupid policies taxed themselves out of there, so they moved up here to Oregon and Washington. And we become the new epicenter for socialism, communism, and violence. You know, and just look around at what's been going on these last few years. Because all these people moved up here, Washington went from being Democrat controlled but still fairly balanced to a complete 100% Democrat controlled state. They have everything in the state. Republicans have no power in the state at all, and Democrats have completely taken over. But not just the Democrats, it's the socialists have taken over Washington state. All their anti-prosecution policies and things like that they put in place, the decriminalization of things, and the, you know, cuts to policing, the laws that handcuff the police, has made us the epicenter of leftist violence. I mean, for years, the last 8 years, every time they riot, every time they go out and commit violence and arson and destroy things and attack police and attack people, have any of them ever been charged and convicted with anything? All the violence you've seen the last several years. No, they don't. Sometimes they might actually arrest a couple of them, but they're never charged. They're always let go. They're allowed to riot. They're allowed to commit political violence. It's tolerated in this state. They are never held accountable for their actions. That's why we are the epicenter for leftist political violence. And if you voted for Democrats, you're responsible for this. You are. You voted for this. You voted for the violence, the crime, the soft on crime policies, the coddling of these protesters who go out and do whatever they want with no consequences. You're responsible for the drug epidemic that we have in this state. They decriminalized all the drugs. You voted for that. You voted for these people that decriminalized drugs, that allow the homelessness to go on, and allow the political violence that has been going on in this state for the last 8 years. If you voted Democrat, you voted for it. You're responsible. Voting does have consequences. This is why we're at where we're at. The country as a whole, all the leftist violence that's been going on lately, you can pin that square on the media and on the Democrat politicians. They're constantly up there with their inflammatory rhetoric, calling anybody who doesn't believe as they do a Nazi, a racist, a homophobe, saying we live in a dictatorship, that our democracy is in jeopardy, constantly bombarding you with that 24/7. It's not my opinion, that's a fact. Go on any website that measures political leaning on legacy media, and you'll find that almost 90% of all news coverage is against conservatives and pro-liberal. It is. Not my opinion, that's facts. Constant negative bashing by the media and politicians, calling for people to stand up, to act out, labeling anybody who doesn't believe as they believe as something evil, something terrible that needs to be destroyed. You put enough of that out there, people are going to act on it. Especially the weak-minded in our society will act on it in terrible ways. And then after it happens, then you have all these Democrats standing up. Oh, we're against political violence. We stand against that. That should never happen in this country. You did it. You're responsible for it. The crap you say, the words you throw around like they mean nothing, you know exactly what you're doing. You're doing it on purpose to inflame people's emotions. You caused it. Take some damn accountability. Quit trying to spin it like, oh, we're so against political violence. You stoke it 24/7. Politicians and freaking liberal media, they stoke this crap 24/7. And then when it happens, oh, we're against that. No, you're not. It's exactly the outcome you wanted. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Just don't understand it. But this stuff is effective. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen how effective that this rhetoric is firsthand. I've been a part of this organization for many years, since it started. Myself and others in this organization, you know, basically anybody who's ever been in charge of this organization or high-ranking in this organization have received multiple death threats from the violent left in Washington State. They send us death threats, of course, anonymously, right? Usually from a burner phone, anonymously, because they're cowards. They're cowards. They send us like a picture of a satellite picture of our home, like we know where you're at. Yeah. They think they're going to scare us. We're not scared. We're not scared. We're going to stand up. But yeah, this is the kind of treatment we've been getting for years because of the rhetoric that's out there, labeling us as all these terrible things. You know where we are? We're constitutional conservatives. We believe in the Constitution. We believe everybody has a right to live their life the way they want, and we should be able to live life the way we want. We believe government should be small and quit taking all of our damn money and giving it to people who don't want to work. That's who we are. We don't care what color you are. We don't care, you know, what you believe or anything else. We don't care. You believe what you want to believe. I'll believe what I want to believe. Peace out, right? You live your life, I'll live mine. That's who we are. We don't care what color you are. We don't care, you know, what kind of ideas you have. None of our business. What we care about is getting taxed into oblivion, and we care about our kids being raised the way we want them raised and not being subjected to all this crap that we don't believe in by the state. That's who we are. But unfortunately, the propaganda works. We get death threats all the time. My own personal experience, very personal experience, is I, not too long ago, had somebody who's known me my entire life, who asked me one day if I was all these terrible things. This person was worried that I was brainwashed and I had become some kind of a monster, racist, you know, who thought everybody should die who didn't think like I did. And I'm like, you've known me my whole life. And this is not an unintelligent person, but this is someone who has been bombarded for the last several years 24/7 with all this garbage, saying that anybody who thinks like I do, who believes in the Constitution, who believes in rights, is some kind of evil monster. And it got to this person, and they finally had to ask me. That's the power of this propaganda that they're putting out there. That's why today happened, is this propaganda that's being put out there. People, please. Quit taking everything you hear at face value. Quit listening to mainstream media, period. All mainstream media. They're all full of crap. 90% of it is anti-conservative. But that other 10% out there that's pro-conservative, They don't tell truth either. They lie. There's no such thing as journalism in this country anymore. It's all paid propaganda. And most of it is meant to destroy this country, destroy our way of life. So, main thing I'm just trying to say about all this is this was no accident. This happened for a reason, and the reason is because of the violent rhetoric of the left. People need to wake up. People need to pay attention and actually check facts. Actually, figure stuff out and make your own opinion. Don't just sit here and listen to this crap that you're bombarded with every day and the things you talk about with the people who are on your side, right? The left, right? They're supposedly the party of diversity and acceptance and all this other crap. Then why are they committing all this violence? Oh, you believe in diversity, right? Diversity of skin color, sure. Diversity of thought? Ooh, no diversity of thought. You either think like me or you need to be in a concentration camp or you need to die. That's the way they think. And that's why today happened. So, in summation, this has been a long video, and I know I've rambled for quite a while, but this is a pretty emotional day. Sad, very, very sad, and very scary for the future of this country, that people are so easily influenced by what's being said on the major media sources that they do things like this. The one thing, my final thoughts on this, is I'd just like to appeal to everybody out there that you need to reevaluate where your beliefs are coming from. Are they yours or are they given to you? Check things for yourself. Make up your own mind. Actually talk to people on the other side. See where they're coming from and why they feel that way. Don't let us be a country where somebody has a different opinion than you should be shot just for having a different opinion. That's not American. That's all I got. And we will see you next time on Behind the Wire. All right.